तो आज हमारा टॉपिक है सप्लाई। व्हाट इज सप्लाई? दिस इज द नेक्स्ट unit, probably unit 3rd, in which we have to study the producer's equilibrium and supply. This is unit 3rd. We are starting now, and the first topic which we are going to discuss here is supply. What is supply? By supply we mean the quantity of a good by supply we mean the quantity of a good. हाँ, सप्लाई लिख लीजिए। सप्लाई 3rd यूनिट हमारा है ये, प्रोड्यूसर्स इक्विलिब्रियम एंड सप्लाई। इसमें पहला टॉपिक हम उठा रहे हैं सप्लाई। Supply we mean the quantity of a good that a producer or a seller is willing and able to sell at a given price in the market. At a given price in the market. So एक सेलर या एक प्रोड्यूसर कितना तैयार है बेचने के लिए मार्केट में, तो उसे कहते हैं सप्लाई. So it is the quantity which is available for sale in the market. So it is the quantity of a good which is, so it is the quantity of a good which is available for sale in the market. और that quantity, जो quantity लोगों के लिए तैयार है, जो लोग खरीद सकते हैं, which is available for sale in the market. So it is the quantity of a good which is actively offered for sale. So it is quantity of a good, quantity which is offered for sale. So we have different definitions of supply. So this is one, this is one, this is one. So it is the quantity of a good which is offered for sale. जो ऑफर की गई सेलर्स ने, प्रोड्यूसर्स ने जो ऑफर किया है सेल करने के लिए, which is offered for sale in the market at given price. Thus it is the quantity of a good which is offered for sale in the market at a given price. So this is simply definition of the supply. The supply changes with change in price. So supply depends upon price. Supply changes with change in price. It changes with so many factors like demand. So it depends upon so many factors like demand, but the price is the main factor. So supply changes with the change in price. When price falls, the supply also falls. And when price rises, the quantity supply also rises. Thus we can say that there is direct relation or positive relation, direct or positive relationship between price and quantity supply. Between price and quantity supply of a good. Thus, This is all about the meaning of supply. Supply is the quantity of a good that a producer or seller is willing and able to sell at a given price in the market. So ये ऐसी quantity है जो बाजार में दस्तयाब है सेल एंड परचेज के लिए, जो ऑफर की गई है, जो सप्लायर्स ने तैयार रखी है कि हम तैयार है ये क्वांटिटी बेचने के लिए, इतनी क्वांटिटी हम बेच सकते हैं एट द गिवन मार्केट प्राइस। तो ये ऑफर की गई है through the producers or through the sellers for sale in the market. There is another concept related with the supply that is called stock. Stock. What is stock? This is next concept. Stock. So supply is the quantity offered for sale. Supply is the quantity offered for sale, but the stock is the quantity. Stock is that quantity which is dumped or stored by the producers or sellers, which can become supply if market conditions are favorable. So stock is the total quantity which a seller can sell if market conditions are favorable or price is favorable for him. Supply is part of stock. Supply is a flow variable. Also we can say supply जो है it is flow variable. It is flow. It changes with change in price. But stock is not flow variable. It is static. It is stagnant. It also changes if prices increase. Prices are favorable, stock may decrease and supply may increase. Thus, supply is the quantity of a good actually offered for sale, but stock is the excess of goods. Stock is the excess of goods in the market over the goods offered for sale. It is excess quantity, excess of goods than the goods, or it is excess of quantity than the quantity, or excess of goods than the goods offered for sale. Offered for sale. Offered for sale. Thus, we can say stock is the total quantity. Stock is the total quantity. The stock is the total quantity which a seller can sell if market conditions, that is price, and the market condition होता है price for the seller or favorable. So if prices are favorable, thus supply is the part of stock, also a major part of good which is hoarded by the producer for sale in future at increased price is called stock. So we can say supply is part of stock. Supply is part of stock. Supply is part of stock. Thus we can say stock is the quantity. Thus stock is the quantity stored or hoarded by a producer or seller for sale in future, at increased prices. So Stock is that quantity which is stored or dumped or hoarded by the producer or seller, which can be sold in future. जो future में बेच सकते हैं ये producers, sellers at increased prices. At increased prices. Then we have this is all about the meaning of supply and stock. Then we have the individual supply and market supply. Individual supply and market supply. Assalamu alaikum. Şükür olsun Khudaya. Ah, ठीक. Class छुस दियां. One must call. मैं try here WhatsApp. So individual supply. Next is individual supply. We have two concepts here, individual supply and market supply. What is individual supply and what is market supply? Individual supply is the quantity of a good offered for sale by an individual firm or seller at a given price. At a given price in the market. In the market. So it is the quantity of a good offered for sale by an individual firm or seller at a given price in the market. So how much is supplied or offered by a single seller or a particular seller to the market at given price, जो market price दिया हुआ है. Market supply क्या होता है? It is total supply. Market supply. Total quantity of a good. It is total quantity of a good offered for sale by all the sellers in the market. All the sellers or firms in the market. In the market at a given price. At a given price. So it is a total quantity of a good offered for sale by all the sellers or all the firms in the market at a given price. Thus, it's the quantity of a good offered for sale by all the firms in the market at a given price. So it is sum of individual supply. Sum of individual supply. Sum of individual supply. Sum of individual supply is market supply. So market supply is total supply in the market. Total supply in the market. Then our next is, so hope that this is clear to all. Next is supply schedule. Supply schedule. What is supply schedule? Supply schedule. The tabular form of different quantities offered for sale by the producers or sellers in the market is called supply schedule, or it is the list of quantities offered for sale. It is a list of quantities offered for sale. List of quantities of a good offered for sale at a given, at different prices, at different prices. Thus, supply schedule is, thus it is tabular form. Tabular form which shows different quantities of a good offered for sale at different prices. At different prices, it shows this positive relationship between price and quantity supply. Other thing is remaining same. That is, it shows positive or direct relationship between price and quantity supply. That means when price increases, the supply also increases. When price decreases, the supply also decreases. So what is it? Is a table, schedule means table. This schedule, supply schedule, shows different quantities of a good at offered for sale at different prices. What is in our syllabus? So for our syllabus is concerned, we have here supply schedule and supply curve, determinants of supply, market supply. Yes. Then we can have an example of this. Supply schedule. This price and this is quantity supply, QS. For example, price is, for example, 5, supply is 10, price is 10, supply is 20, price is 20, supply is 30, price is 30, supply is 40, price is 40, and supply is 50. So this table shows different quantities of a good supplied at different prices. We can write down from the above table, when price is 5, supply is 10. When price is 10, supply is 20. When price is 20, supply is 30. That means we see as price increases, the supply also increases. It shows direct relationship between price and quantity supply. Then we have two types of supply schedule. We have two types of supply schedule. We have two types of supply schedule. One is individual supply schedule and individual supply schedule. And the next is market supply schedule. Market supply schedule. In the next lecture, we will discuss these two supply schedules, individual supply schedule and market supply schedule. Thank you very much.